Today, we are stepping into the ultimate athletic multiverse. We are answering a massive what if. If football was completely erased from existence, where would these elite athletes disperse across the global sports landscape? Now, right off the bat, we are entirely leaving rugby out of this conversation. Why? Because it's the obvious choice, and let's be real, it's almost the exact same thing as football. We want to see where these freaks of nature would end up if they had to play completely different sports based purely on their physical traits, mechanics, and mental processing. Let's get into it. Before we break down the positions, we have to address the elephant in the room. If you spend any time on social media, you see NBA and NFL players constantly arguing about who could play whose sport. But in reality, neither group would have a smooth transition to the other. The actual argument shouldn't be football versus basketball. It is hands down football versus baseball. There is a surprising amount of crossover between the NFL and MLB drafts. And nowhere is this smoother than with quarterbacks. Because the biomechanics of throwing a football and pitching are so similar, elite quarterbacks are frequently scouted by MLB teams. They share the exact same overhead throwing mechanics, arm velocity, and mental chess match of reading an opponent and executing specific pitches. While some QBs could definitely play other baseball positions, most of them would just be pitchers, because it is such an incredibly easy transition. In fact, Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino, Colin Kaepernick, and Jameis Winston were all specifically drafted to be pitchers by Major League Baseball teams. But what if QBs played basketball? If they hit the hardwood, they would easily slot in as shooting guards. They usually have the perfect height for it, and usually due to their accuracy, that skill typically carries over to shooting. They would likely be elite 3 and D type players. Speaking of accuracy, QBs would also dominate professional golf. Both sports require extreme, repeatable biomechanical precision. QBs like Tony Romo and Patrick Mahomes are notoriously great golfers. Now, let's talk about the big boys up front. If football didn't exist, the bodies of offensive and defensive linemen would look completely different. In football, you are heavily rewarded for being massive, but there is absolutely zero reward for being an overweight 350-pound basketball player. Without football, these 6'7" or 6'8" giants would likely slim down and be much skinnier. They would use their massive frames to try and play basketball, or they'd play volleyball, where their size could dominate. If they did keep the weight, they'd likely transition to bodybuilding, sumo wrestling, or powerlifting, as offensive linemen are built for pure, stationary, explosive strength. Their squat and deadlift mechanics are already elite. But here's the craziest part. Out of every single position on a football field, the linemen actually have the best chance of becoming professional track and field athletes. Anchoring the lower body to generate massive, rotational pushing force is the exact science behind Olympic heavy throwing events. They would absolutely dominate the shot put and discuss. Alright, what about the speedsters? The running backs, wide receivers, and defensive backs. Running backs. They possess elite fast twitch muscle fibers designed for maximum acceleration from a dead stop. They are built for the 100-meter sprint. Wide receivers. These guys are built on explosive verticality. Their ability to launch their bodies into the air at the peak of a sprint translates directly to jumping events, like the high jump or long jump. Now, we have to ground this in reality. We know guys like Jeff Demps and Marquise Goodwin actually were Olympians, and players like Tyreek Hill absolutely could have run track professionally. But let it be known, very, very few of these guys would actually become Olympians or professional track and field athletes, just like very few of them would actually make the NBA. However, hypothetically, if the NFL didn't exist, they wouldn't be focusing on football. They would be focusing on track or basketball their whole lives, making them significantly better at those sports than they are today. If they focused on basketball, wide receivers have the quick twitch agility for fast breaks and ankle breakers. In addition to this, they typically have better leaping ability than basketball players. Cornerbacks have the hip fluidity to be incredible on ball point guard defenders. Safeties would be free-roaming wing defenders, anticipating where the offense is moving the ball. But again, baseball is the easiest transition here. Wide receivers and cornerbacks are built for nearly every position outside of pitcher. The MLB has drafted plenty of non-quarterbacks simply because their raw speed and power are too good to pass up. Bo Jackson was an all-star in both. Deion Sanders played in a Super Bowl and a World Series, and guys like A.J. Brown and Golden Tate were highly touted outfielders. Why not soccer, some may ask? Well, every skill position has more than enough athleticism to play soccer, but considering most are black, and black Americans rarely play soccer, very few would take that route. Let's wrap it up with the enforcers and the specialists. Tight ends. At 6'4" to 6'6", their vertical leap and explosive arm swings would translate perfectly to being a middle blocker in volleyball. Or they could be a center forward in water polo, using their upper body strength to tread water and catch wet passes in traffic. Linebackers. They are enforcers who thrive on high-impact collisions. They would dominate as heavyweight fighters in mixed martial arts, or as ice hockey defensemen built for delivering bone-crushing hits against the boards. Kickers. The leg swing and ball-striking mechanics used to bend a field goal are identical to taking a penalty shot or bending a free kick in soccer. Punters. They would naturally be soccer goalkeepers, who routinely act as the punters of soccer by using massive drop kicks to distribute the ball. So there you have it, the real athletic transitions if football vanished tomorrow. Let me know down in the comments who you think would have the most successful secondary career. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is ASED. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.